The technology allows us to reach the stars, cure diseases, fix broken bones. Each year we break more and more barriers. As time goes by, new solutions are accessible to us. Around 30 years before a first smartphone was created, now nearly everybody in the Western world can afford a pocket-sized computer. It feels wonderful to be alive in this decade. However, as Abraham Lincoln once said, we complain because rose bushes have thorns, or rejoice because thorn bushes have roses. In other words, everything has pros and cons. In today's world, the technology is power. It can elevate us to godhood. It can also destroy our minds and health. In this episode, we will take a closer look at threats of technology. In short, we will talk about big tech, IA, brain interfaces, VR, and more. Point 1. The big tech.
Let's start with a quote. Power is neither good nor evil, but its user makes it so. Erin Hunter.
The concern is that we all might end up in China. Not literally, but mentally, oppressed and controlled by governments. The big tech has tremendous amount of power. First, take a look at some notable examples. President of the USA Donald Trump was cancelled from media. I will not decide or discuss whether this action was a good choice, but rather I would like to stress the ability to remove a power figure from the social space. Big Tech cancelled alternative platform Parler. Servers were disabled by Amazon, Google and Apple removed the Parler application from their stores. The big tech operated in unison. Please note that there was no judge, no court involved in these actions. In 2013, Google services went down for 5 minutes. The global internet traffic dropped by 40%. In 2019, there were 3.5 billion Google searches per day. That is a staggering amount of searches. So what about the social media? Does it play a significant role in our life? Does it have any power over our emotions? In 2014, a homicide happened in Myanmar. Anti-Muslim monk Ashin Viratu shared a post alleging that a Buddhist girl had been raped by Muslim men. It went viral on Facebook. Days later, a mob descended on those accused of being involved, and 2 people died in the ensuing violence. A police investigation later found that the monk accusation had been completely fabricated. Now, we are ready to ask the following questions. Can this power be used against us, the common folk? Does social media control what people feel and think?
Is there any social engineering at work?
Can IT giants gain more control over us? Where are the limits of IT control? Will there be anybody who will be able to question choices of the big tech and politicians? Will there be communism or social score in the future in the USA and Europe? Can anyone make a breakthrough in the big tech? Or is it an environment to which you are allowed to exist by other IT giants? Some people claim that their data are not relevant. Then why big tech harvests so much data about us? The media platforms form oligopoly that is impossible to break because it is against everybody's interests. The big tech funds campaigns of politicians. Politicians support big tech. It is that simple. It is a mutual agreement and help. I will say that again. The concern is that we all might end up in China. Point 2. Artificial intelligence. We'll start with a quote. Christian Louis Lang, historian. Technology is a useful servant, but a dangerous master. We all know that IA is powerful and that the tech companies invest a lot of money into that technology. Are there any threats related with it? The power is so enormous that OpenIA was not publicly released because it could be a threat for the internet. If so, can we have faith in any sort of news? We people are not able to distinguish text, video or audio fabricated by IA. Scientists created a model of the universe using IA that included effects of the antimatter, even though the data about the antimatter were not fed into the system. How can we trust technology we do not understand? With the help of IA, a system of absolute control can exist. It already does in China. The government is able to track your every public interaction, for example if you cross the street in a correct way, if you criticize government online. Your interactions may lead to employment problems with buying airplane tickets, traveling in general, receiving permissions from banks. Western world also started monitoring streets using IA for your own protection. There are also threats with self-aware IA systems. Would it consider us to be valuable enough to keep us around? Every year we destroy this planet a little bit more. Would we be able to detect if such system is a threat to us? Would we be able to control IA, or would it control us in the end? James Barrett quote, "I don't want to really scare you, but it was alarming how many people I talked to who are highly placed people in IA who have retreats that are sort of bug-out houses to which they could flee if it all hits the fan." Point 3. Electric cars. Steve Wozniak said, "Never trust a computer you can throw out a window." It was said in time of big computers, mainframes. The quote means that you can have faith in a device in your hand because you control it. But is it true now, though? At first, phones were used for speaking with people. Then came smartphones, which are sophisticated computers organized into closed ecosystems in which the user has no administrative rights. You may have a smartphone, but it is not your phone. Updates are installed automatically. That is obvious and needed thing. However, on Android or Apple, some features are installed or uninstalled without your knowledge or consent. For example, in Massachusetts, COVID exposure application was installed on user devices without the owner consent. It is difficult to disable any sort of tracking in your phone. As everything in your phone, it is a conscious design choice. "But hey, you sly fox," someone may say. "Sure, you can install other operating systems on your smartphone. That is true, but also not true at all. It is a complicated process which may break some functionalities of the phone. You may lose warranty or even brick your phone." Now, how does that relate to cars? Well, we can observe similar trends emerging in automotive industry. First, they were just means of transportation, but I assume that they will become sophisticated computers organized into closed ecosystems in which the user has no administrative rights. To make my point, if you make your Tesla private by disabling features, then you lose warranty. Are you really in control of your possession, or are you just a user which is allowed to use somebody else's possession? Point 4. VR. Brian Reed quote, "Everything is designed. Few things are designed well. The VR technology is a wonder. It can help doctors, engineers, artists. With VR goggles you can visit many places that you would not be able otherwise. Space station? Why not? This technology, however, as nearly every technology, has its downsides. The biggest of them is privacy. VR goggles contain many sensors, cameras that scan your room, controllers that track your movement, microphone that analyzes what you say. It sends data to the parent company. Most users do not know exactly which data. The most common VR goggles are produced by Facebook, which has a long record of abusing users' trust and data. Even if the data are obfuscated, the user still can be identified by personal patterns, controller movement. That means you cannot be anonymous in the internet with VR goggles. Are you okay with any company having live feed of your house, of your kids, of your wife? Remember that, for example, Facebook maintained your passwords in plain text. Facebook passwords were not encrypted on their servers. Apple employees were listening to users' audio to enhance their product. Are you okay with any company being able to know which people you meet, to know what you talk about? Point 5. Killer machines. In most of the dystopian sci-fi movies, the order is maintained by human-like robots. I think this solution is very ineffective and simply is not going to happen. Killer drones already take a significant place in the army. Drones were already used in some battles. It is not easy to destroy a flying drone. As Matt Groening said, there will be tiny cameras everywhere and they will be flying around like mosquitoes. That will be bad. Drones are scary. You can't reason with a drone. Point 6. Brain interfaces and body augmentations. Guy P. Harrison quote, "The human brain is an organ out of time. It stands as evolved and best suited for daily life in the Pleistocene. Yet here it is, having to make do in a modern, high-tech, wired and fast-changing world. There are many companies that work on brain-computer interfaces, like Valve, Neuralink, Google, to mention a few. Now let's move on to the concerns. How it will be made sure that it does not affect our health? Could brain interfaces affect the way we think and process information? Could we be subjected to mind manipulation? Can it be used as a method of control to revoke access to godlike abilities if you criticize government or big tech of the future? The concerns are real because companies not always do what they say they plan on doing. Companies are motivated by money, not by morals. Big tech is tied closely to politicians. Point 7. Digital life. Albert Einstein quote, "It has become appallingly obvious that our technology has exceeded our humanity." People spend more and more time in the digital space. This may lead to addiction, fear of missing out, loneliness, echo chambers in which misinformation is spread, blindly belief in the big tech news and information. Do we control the digital space of our life, or the digital space controls us? In recent years, people started to feel more and more lonely. Is that a trend that will continue and expand? This already led to popularity of sex dolls, availability of porn. In 2018, Akihiko Kondo, a 35 years old Tokyo school administrator, has married anime hologram. Is that the future in which you would like to live? Do humans stand a chance against loneliness of the future? Josh Hawley quote, "Big Tech's business model is based principally on data collection and advertising, which means devising ways to manipulate individuals to change their behavior and then selling that opportunity of manipulation to big corporations. The result? An addiction economy designed to keep us online as much as possible, as long as possible, to sell us more and more stuff and collect more and more information." We will finish this video with a quote from Zbigniew Brzeziński, who was helping American government. "The technotronic era involves the gradual appearance of a more controlled society. Such a society would be dominated by an elite, unrestrained by traditional values. Soon it will be possible to assert almost continuous surveillance over every citizen and maintain up-to-date complete files containing even the most personal information about the citizen. These files will be subject to instantaneous retrieval by the authorities. In the technotronic society, the trend would seem to be towards the aggregation of the individual support of millions of uncoordinated citizens, easily within the reach of magnetic and attractive personalities, effectively exploiting the latest communications techniques to manipulate emotions and control reason. These are all technology threats I can think of. Have fun. Good luck, everybody.